climate change is creating negative impacts, and it will continue doing so in the future on the whole planet, affecting regions to a greater or lesser extent. Adaptations in infrastructure and processes are needed to minimize these negative effects, but these adaptations are costly, and not all countries can afford these costs without external financing. Leaving extreme climate events such as hurricanes and typhoons aside, we take as examples the prolonged droughts and floods. Some of the affected regions are used to these problems, while others are not. Rich regions show more resilience and capacity to be prepared for such events, and also to rescue the population in the case where the negative impacts are unavoidable. Dealing with a drought in California is very different from dealing with a drought in sub-Saharan Africa. Coping with floods in Northern Europe is usually more efficient than in Southeast Asia. From this brief analysis, we can conclude that the effects of the climate change tend to increase inequality between rich and poor countries. If the developing countries do not have support to make the required climate change adaptations, they will become even poorer. Some studies indicate that the climate change is already increasing migratory flows and can, in extreme cases, fuel disputes and even wars for natural resources, such as drinkable water and farmland. Besides being an ecological and economic problem, climate change has the potential to become, or maybe it already is, a humanitarian problem. As we have mentioned before in this course, mitigation, that is, reducing the greenhouse gases emissions, would diminish the impacts of climate change and, consequently, the need for adaptation and its associated costs. Therefore, avoiding the worsening of climate change is also an humanitarian action of protection of the disadvantaged populations and of the future generations of all countries. In our next video, we'll talk about green companies and professions. Until then,